Hello everyone, my name is Peppo and welcome back to my channel. Longsword users, rejoice! The wait is finished. Capcom finally released the weapon overview for the Longsword. In this short trailer, we get to see important changes that are going to revolutionize the Longsword gameplay in the next generation. I'm going to break it down and explain all the little details that maybe some of you missed, and eventually I'm going to make some extra considerations. We are going to see the similarities and differences with World Iceborne and Rise Sunbreak, what has changed and what has remained the same. This is going to be a complete breakdown of the Longsword overview, so just sit back and relax as we dive into the immense beauty of the Longsword in Monster Hunter Wilds. The video starts with a quick overview of the armor, which is from the Shaguma, and the Longsword. Not sure if it's also from the same monster or what could be the starting Longsword model, or even just a new model for the Bone Longsword. The design looks the same as the Hunting Ward we saw in the previous video. The Hunter is in special sheath, and it performs a Yaspiri slash. It feels exactly like in Iceborne, same length duration, same distance covered, same animation, however there is a little detail that makes a difference. The gauge, as we can see from the blade, is at level 0. But nonetheless there is a delayed hit appearing after the ISS. In Iceborne you can trigger that follow-up delayed hit even if you don't hit the target, but only with spirit gauge above white, while in Rise you simply can't trigger it without hitting anything. Here the Hunter does a thrust, a Spirit Blade first, Spirit Blade second, Spirit Blade third, and Spirit Round Slash. They changed the animation of both the Spirit Blade first and second. Now you can choose a direction in which you want to pull out that attack, similar to the lateral Fate Slash. Now Spirit Blade first and second can move to the right and to the left. Spirit Blade second also consists of 2 slashes now, not a single slash like it has always been. We can also notice that hyper armor against weak attacks will still be a thing on the Spirit combo, same as previous generations. After the Spirit Round Slash, both the Hunter and the blade turn white for a short moment, indicating the gauge has leveled up. In this next clip, the Hunter does a thrust, an upward slash, a force slash plus Spirit Round Slash. This is the only segment of the video where the moves look identical as they were done in World. Same duration, same animation, and similar effect on a right-timed force slash. In this other scene they show us the UI element for the Spirit Gauge, which has a gold-yellow color this time around. The Hunter does a thrust, then performs a special sheath. The animation speed looks about the same of Iceborne and Rise Sunbreak, but of course what will make the difference will most likely be quick sheath. After landing the Ice Slash, the gauge starts glowing with a bright yellow effect, indicating the passive regeneration of the spirit, exactly as it was in Iceborne and Rise Sunbreak. Then the Hunter follows it up directly with a backward Spirit Blade second, which now consists of 2 slashes, and finally does the classic Spirit Blade third plus Spirit Round Slash. When you level up the gauge to white, or as we will see later to yellow, only the thin border of the icon will change color. We can also notice that the Spirit Gauge will not get fully depleted after landing the Spirit Round Slash, differently from what happens in World Iceborne, but it will keep the same spirit it had before landing the Round Slash like in Rise Sunbreak. At the beginning of this clip, if we pay attention to the Spirit Gauge in the UI, we see that a little chunk of spirit gets consumed before we do the special sheath. This confirms that the natural decay of the spirit will also be present in Monster Hunter Wilds, and will work similarly to World Iceborne. At 29 seconds the Spirit Gauge is yellow, as we can see from the UI, and the Hunter is performing a Spirit Blade combo, starting with the new forward Spirit Blade first, the new Spirit Blade second, and the usual Spirit Blade third and Spirit Round Slash. It looks like the new Spirit Blade first and second will now have different animations depending on the direction that we are giving. At the beginning the Spirit Blade first and second were performed on the side, then Spirit Blade second was directed backwards, while here both are done forward. After landing the Spirit Round Slash and leveling up to Red Gauge, the Spirit Gauge gets maxed out immediately. The bar starts full, and there is this heartbeat-like yellow line inside the gauge meter which could indicate the max power of the gauge. Right after the Spirit Round Slash, instead of auto-sheathing, the Hunter cancelled the sheathing part of the round slash animation into a never seen attack which consists of a 360 degrees mid-air rotation landing with a powerful slash. It looks phenomenal. This attack probably comes from Monster Hunter Online. As you can see in this game, you can perform another attack right after landing the Spirit Round Slash. The animation looks very similar. Note that this move doesn't look like a spirit attack as there is no signature sound of that, nor the short blow that all spirit attacks have right before you use them. However, the animation and the way he performs that slash clearly remind me of a spirit attack. Now, if we also analyze this new clip, we see that all these new slashes don't look like spirit attacks exactly as the move we just watched. However, they seem way too powerful to be considered as regular longsword attacks. The first move is a double slash, same for the second, while the third is a triple slash attack. But the reason why I think these are indeed spirit attacks is not just because they look very powerful, but also if you watch carefully the slash effect, you will notice that it is the same as the Spirit Blade attacks. If we just go a few seconds back, you can see the exact same effect on the Spirit Round Slash. Now, this is not enough proof to state that they are spirit attacks for sure, as the red effect could simply be the default effect you have on any attack performed while using Red Gauge. However, since they decided to show these new attacks in Red Gauge, and specifically 3 of them chained one after another, I cannot help but think they were hinting that these 3 attacks are just how the Spirit Blade first, second and third will change when we get to Red Gauge. In fact, in the subtitles they say that once the Spirit Gauge turns red, some of your attacks will be strengthened, and this could possibly indicate the change we just saw to the classic Spirit Blade combo. But anyway, either if these attacks are truly the evolution of the Spirit Blade first, second and third as I believe, or they are actually simple regular attacks, it's crucial to notice that the Spirit Gauge does not react at all to those actions. Normally the Spirit Gauge can either be filled up or depleted by using attacks. If it's a regular move, it will fill up the gauge, like the thrust or the upward slash we watched previously. Or if it's a spirit attack, then you will deplete it, like the Spirit Blade first, second, third and Spirit Round Slash we saw earlier. In this case, however, the gauge doesn't go up nor down, it simply keeps gradually depleting over time. I calculated the reduction of the gauge over time by looking at the difference of the Spirit Gauge at 2 different moments, and with this data we can easily calculate the total amount of time it takes for the Red Gauge to fully deplete. About 45 seconds. If we consider that Spirit Gauge decay starts after 10 seconds the gauge turns red, like in World Iceborne, we get to 55 seconds, which we can reasonably round up to 60 seconds. And that is exactly the overall reduction of the Red Gauge for the longsword. The timer for the Red Gauge will be completely different, visually speaking, but it should still be around 60 seconds. However, since the Spirit Gauge didn't react at all when landing those attacks, I believe that we can perform any attack without being worried about our Spirit Gauge in these 60 seconds. Similarly to Monster Hunter Tri's longsword, where after a Spirit Round Slash you had full gauge and you could spam Spirit Blade attacks without depleting the gauge. But let's continue with the video. At this moment the Hunter activates the focus mode, and he does a special thrust that hits twice. This attack was probably inspired by the piercing stab from Monster Hunter Frontier's longsword. It looks like this attack will be available only by entering the focus mode. After it, the Hunter performs another new action, the Longsword Focus Strike, which consists of 2 rapid slashes that trigger 3 follow-up delayed hits in the point where the previous attack landed. It seems I was right about this attack having a series of delayed hits after the 2 slashes in the focus mode explanation video. Note that after the additional hits land, the Spirit Gauge levels up immediately, and the wounds on the monster's head disappear, confirming that this attack is indeed the Focus Strike. We can then watch a successful timed Spirit Slash, very similar to Iceborne, same animation, same distance covered and same effect, but we can clearly notice that the additional single hit strike levels up the gauge, like it does in Rise Sunbreak. They took the single follow-up hit from Iceborne, but the leveling up of the gauge from Rise Sunbreak. In the next clip, the Hunter is already in mid-air, ready to deliver a powerful Helmbreaker. While in mid-air, the Spirit Gauge is red, while after the Helmbreaker it gets yellow, confirming that it will work the same as before, dropping 1 spirit gauge level. Few moments later, the hunter does a crazy multiple hit slashes combo that for a moment I thought he became Virgil from Devil May Cry.
You shall die!
This attack reminds of the blade release from Monster Hunter Frontier, but unfortunately we don't get to see the whole attack. The only thing we can safely assume is that this special move can be executed after landing a Helmbreaker. And finally, the hunter enters a new stance, holding the longsword like a baseball bat as he prepares to deliver a devastating double round slash attack. It's kind of hard to tell what this move actually is. Some people say it's a transformed version of the Sakura Slash from Generations, others think it resembles more the Unhinged Spirit from the same game, and others even think it could be another counter move, similar to Monster Hunter Online's special attack. I personally think it's something different. If we look closely, there is a moment where the character glows before landing the attack, as if he was charging during that stance. It reminded me of the mechanic from the Sacred Sheath Focus from Sunbreak, although it doesn't look like it depletes the spirit gauge level while quote-unquote charging. The only certain thing is that after landing this new move, the spirit gauge will level up. So, after breaking down the video, what do you think about this weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds? On one hand, changing the attacks as you level up the gauge is a very cool concept, and it makes a lot of sense as in red gauge the longsword should unlock its full potential. However, on the other hand, I'm a little bit worried about the balancing between the Ice Spirit Slash and Force Slash. If ISS levels up the spirit gauge like in Rise Sunbreak, then what's the point of using Force Slash? I would personally just use the ISS counter if it's faster to level up the spirit gauge. But then again, I really hope it's not going to become a ISS spam fest like it was in Rise. What's more, I would be disappointed if the most efficient playstyle would again be Helmbreaker plus ISS and repeat. I really hope they will properly look at the motion values and push for a different approach that rewards the player without solely relying on counters and Helmbreaker, but by giving alternative solutions, especially considering the new attacks it unlocks when reaching the red gauge. Before ending the video, I just wanted to remind you that this year I will go to Gamescom to try out the game. I'm planning to record footage of my gameplay and bring it to you here on my YouTube channel. So if you don't want to miss my future content covering the longsword in Monster Hunter Wilds, please consider subscribing to the channel. And that's it for the video. A deep thank you to all the players who discussed the video with me on my Discord server. Also thanks to Nyx for providing me with some Iceborne clips. And as always, special thanks to my YouTube members, the Longsword Legends. See you in the next video. Take care, bye!